Well, howdy, 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 and welcome to another episode of Perfectly Twisted with myself, Nicole Eggert, and my friend Dave Palais here.
It's so funny you started it with howdy. I just literally got back from Nashville, Tennessee.
I was going to ask you about Nashville, so maybe it was on my mind. Tell me, how was it? I heard it was deathly hot and humid there this weekend, so let's hear it.
It was. It's the time of the year, where it's obviously warmer. It was a good time. Nashville's a great city. A long time ago, I lived there, and it has grown so much in the last 20 years. And I've been back in California since 1986, but I still have family back there, and it's really a fun city. It just really is. I always say if you're under the age of 35, it's like the perfect city to go to. Just there's this nonstop, the parties, and there's so many people that come from out of town to celebrate getting married and bachelorette parties and everything else is up and down. But every bar and restaurant there is like 6 stories. And it's always amazing to me that you can be on one floor, take the stairs up, and there's a whole nother genre of music, and they never bleed into each other. So all 6 floors are just different kinds of music. And
That's fun.
it's really, really cool. Yeah, no, I just had a great time. And I looked at a few houses, and then you get tempted. Hey, could you live out here? Is this a place you want to be? And believe it or not, the prices of houses in Nashville very similar to the prices in California. It has
It's no
become
longer a deal, huh?
it is no longer a deal. If you want to move to Arkansas, you got a bunch of deals. But as far as Nashville goes, not a lot of deals. That's for sure.
Oh, because there's always this. First of all, Nashville is always a city I've wanted to visit, and I never have for
Oh,
whatever
you got to
reason.
try it.
And
Yeah.
it seems so fun. Except I'm not like the bar hopping, loud music kind of
No.
girl anymore. It's just not who I am anymore.
Yeah.
So, and there's always this. People say, "Where would you live?" Or at least, when we live here in California, I know it runs through everybody's mind is where else could we live?
Exactly.
And you're always trying to compare, could I do it? Could I live there? And Nashville is one of those places where I think you have to have a family. You have to have a family and like living on a farm or something like that, because
Yeah.
once you go to all of those places on that strip, you've been there, done that. Like, that's not what your life is going to be, right? So, what else is there in Nashville?
There's actually a lot. So here's it's funny as we're spending time on natural. So the farm stuff is way in the past. You know what I mean? It's kind of funny. The one thing about Nashville is number one, it's very educated. Just like if you go to like Charlotte, North Carolina, where the banking industry is,
Mm.
Nashville's where the health industry is. So all the hospitals and the insurance companies and that's what they're really known for. That and music, of course. It's called Music City. But it's very educated as far as the city goes. Also has more millionaires. I guess it's not a big deal anymore to say millionaires, but more millionaires per capita than any city in the United States. So many people who live in Nashville work in New York. It's only, an hour flight, or work in LA, or work in Dallas, work in Chicago. It's easy to get around. But yeah, it's one of those, like, kind of, it used to be a hidden kind of secret of the South of, when you think of the South, you think of people who are uneducated, or people who can't read or whatever else. But that's not one of those cities at all. That's not one of those
What are you
cities.
saying?
Oh, trust me, people can say
Are
whatever
you
they want to me. I lived there for 9 years. I know exactly what I'm saying. But
I get it.
it's not a bunch of hillbillies. The hillbillies aren't really what it's about. The
No,
one
it's not
thing
redneck.
no, it's not redneck, and I think the city's grown so fast, kinda like, I don't know if you've been to Atlanta, Nicole, but
Yeah.
Atlanta's traffic is bad. Nashville did not see this boom coming, and they aren't prepared for, the traffic stinks just like it stinks in, LA or anywhere else now.
Got it. Well, when I say
Yeah.
farms, I'm like, well, that would be like a benefit for me in
Yeah,
my eyes to move there, because you could have like goats or whatever you wanted, right?
you could.
Because I would be trading the beach.
Yeah.
I have to have a trade-off if I go
Yeah.
somewhere.
You do. You have to have a trade-off.
And I'm not sure goat shit is a trade-off for the beach. As cute as goats are, I
Yeah,
try, I balance it, and I don't know,
that
but I
that is
definitely want to visit there.
that is fun. I recommend if you go in the spring or go in the fall, just because you either see the leaves coming out or you see the different color leaves. Summer's a little hot and winter's a little cold. So I would go definitely one of those two.
Well, geez, I
3.5 hours. That's all it is. 3.5 hour
so
flight. You can be there.
well. Something kinda has to take me there. Are you so where do you stand now on moving there?
I have at least 1 more year in California. That's the way I kinda in my mind, at least 1 more year in California. But it was tempting. You look at some of these homes and you just go, "Ah, it's great not to be close to neighbors," and as you said, a little bit of property. Could you put a pool here? All that stuff in your head goes through about everything else. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of moving. I hate moving. It seems like it puts a lot of stress on the people around you. You know, to have to
Yeah,
get all your stuff and go through your stuff, and I mean, you know what it's like when you had to clear out your mother's stuff, and it's not fun when you're clearing out your own stuff, right? When
yeah.
you're trying to say, do I need this? I haven't used this in 6 months. Do I need it? Time to dump stuff. It's hard to say goodbye to stuff.
They say that moving is on that list of, like, one of the most stressful things in life, so
I
there's
agree.
something to that. Yeah,
I agree. Couldn't agree more.
yeah,
Yeah. And
well,
then you move
meanwhile,
that
I
far,
was
you
on
gotta decide how
TikTok.
you're gonna keep your car and everything else, Would you keep your car? Would you ship it? Would you buy a new one when you get
Oh,
there's so many
right.
things that go through. Yeah.
Well, people drive that far. You could tow
They
it,
do. They do. They do.
get a motorhome and tow it, I suppose.
That's just more work. That's a lot.
I know.
Yeah.
It is.
That's a lot.
You gotta try to make fun of it, I suppose. Um, yeah, so meanwhile, I've, like, recently signed up on TikTok, and I got I got sucked in, and I don't really understand. I'm getting the hang of it now, but I didn't really understand, and somehow I ended up, like, on this marketplace thing, and
Okay.
I don't know if TikTok was reading my mind or they are watching my life, but everything was these wigs that were these
Really?
wigs.
No
Yeah.
way.
Mhm, and so they're doing these women do these, like, flash sales, and they stand there, and then they have all the wigs behind them like this, and they're numbered, and then
Okay.
you go on the live thing, and then you ask them to try on this number or that number or whatever so that you could see that on okay, well, first of all, they're all these, like, really cute young girls
Yeah.
that look great. They obviously have full makeup on, and they look great in every wig that they try on. So I got sucked in, and I ordered 2. Oh my god. Did they not go back faster than they arrived? I
Is
mean,
that right?
I put
Disappointed
them
to hear you
on
say
and
that.
my daughter looked at me and she was like, fell out laughing, like, "You look ridiculous." And, I guess in defense of the wigs, I don't know if I actually really looked ridiculous or it's just not my hair, so
Yeah.
it's bizarre. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm just not a wig girl. Like, I sent them back. I was like, "Okay, it's not happening. I don't know. I look weird and I feel weird."
Did you
I
feel
feel
weird,
like I
really?
move differently too, because like, I don't know if I think it's gonna fall off, but, like, I'm not a wig girl. I don't know.
Now I'm curious to know what color did you get? What colors did you get, and what length did you get?
Okay, so I went wild and, I bought one that was, like, kind of dark blonde that, like, faded out into like, ombre'd out into a blonde, and
Okay.
it was, like, just, below shoulder length, so it seemed like hair I would have.
Yeah.
And also, I think that these wigs are too much hair for my little head. Like, I have a little head. I'm little. I have little bones, I have a little head, so I feel like also that adds to it, and then I went for one that was called The Baddie, and it was, kind of a Betty Page. I looked ridiculous. Let's just throw it out
Oh,
there.
okay.
I looked absurd, and my kids were laughing at me, and, yeah, I sent them back. Just
Y You
sent
know
them
what's
right back.
funny is when you started telling the story, I was like, good for her. I was thinking in my head, I go, I hope this really went well. That's what's going through my head. And then I was thinking, as you're sitting there sending them back, I go, nobody's embraced this more than you. You're almost like the last person to get a wig.
Yeah, no,
I know a lot of
it's not
people
for
that won't
me.
leave the house and are super depressed, and that's not you.
It's not, and I'm not gonna say I don't have depressed days because I do.
Yeah,
And some of my close friends have had to hear it. I just call sobbing like, I do have moments, but for the most part, no. And the wig make it worse. The wigs just add to any like depression or like negativity or anxiety I have. The wigs add to it because I don't know, it's just not me. Like,
yeah.
I've never had extensions, being
Oh,
on
really?
Baywatch and all that. Yeah, and I've never had hair extensions.
Yeah,
I had clip-ins for a few photo shoots and stuff like that, but I've never, like, had them permanently put in my hair because I always had really pretty hair. I was like, "No, you're gonna completely ruin my hair."
yeah,
So,
yeah,
and a lot of people don't believe that because I've had like really thick, long blonde hair. It's always been all mine. Um, so it just, I don't know, it's not in my character to like,
No.
as I sit here with breast implants and say that, but as an adult, this is just not in my wheelhouse. I don't like all the
Yeah.
fake stuff. I don't even know how to put on I've never put on a pair of fake eyelashes either, which I'm gonna need to learn to do because, the Baywatch documentary is coming out, and we're gonna have to do press and stuff like that. I
Oh
need to
yeah.
learn to um, put on
Yeah.
eyelashes because that's coming up, and, yeah, and I don't know if you guys saw, I, I we for me on the Baywatch documentary, it's always been I've always, like, put emphasis on the theme song because that theme song of the show was, like there was something about it, you know? It was like,
Yeah.
and we talk about this too in the documentary. There's a lot of shows where the song was so important. They don't do that anymore, you
No, that
know?
you're right.
They
Why is
don't.
that?
I I don't know if it's budget and they just felt like they didn't need it, because I will say it eats up a huge part of the
Yeah.
budget being on this side of it now. I mean, a huge music is so expensive to use. Um, so I don't know, it's kind of it's a lost thing, but I think some of it's coming back. I feel like I don't know.
I mean,
But,
it used to be one of my favorite things about shows, whether it was Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, Facts of Life. We all knew the songs, Different Strokes, and almost every show we watched, had that theme. I understand it takes out of the storyline. What do you have, about 22 minutes for a sitcom?
yeah,
But and then at the beginning of the show is a minute and a half. I understand that's a good chunk of time, but I don't know. It's always funny to me when you know people that can still say the words to Laverne and Shirley or can whistle, to a show. You don't see that anymore.
you see more of like a recap, right? A
Yeah,
recap of what happened last
yeah.
episode,
Well,
opposed to spending that time doing, intros and credits. It's interesting.
just thinking about it, you were part of two very famous ones.
Yeah,
You know, I
yeah,
mean, as I'm sitting there, I'm throwing shows out there. I'm like, who am I talking to? You were
yeah.
part of two very, very popular ones that most people know right away what shows those were.
100%, and so that Baywatch theme song was really important to me, and, it just put you in a mood, like, you just knew what was coming. I don't know, it got you, like, hyped, you know? It was like the hype
Yes,
man for the, episode.
agree.
So, after, I convinced Matt to spend an enormous amount of money to get the show to get the song, it was like, "Well, who's gonna sing it now?" And I was like, I know. I have an idea. And, if you're familiar with Scott Grimes, who has been my friend since, we were very young, he's on Ted, that show. American Dad, Orville, um, he was in Oppenheimer. I mean, his credits go on and on. He's never stopped working. He's a very, very talented guy and a really good guy. But his singing, he's a singer as well, and he just I don't know. He has one of those voices like a little angel, and he can just hit every note without any effort, and he makes everything feel so effortless. So I contacted him and I was like, "Would you do this?" And listen, that song is not easy to sing. Not just anybody can sing that song. It's a really tough one. And he agreed, and I was just so excited. And then he goes, "How about what do you think about Deborah singing on it?" Now, Deborah is Deborah Gibson, who, many of you know, she's like a triple
Of course.
platinum artist. She was the biggest thing ever back then, and, I said, "You know what? That's so amazing. Like, this is exactly it." So to have a female sing on it as well is just like it's just perfect. So, and it's a big favor to ask because not only did I ask them to sing it, then I wanna film it, you know?
Yes.
There's just
Yeah.
so much. It was such a big ask, and they were just so kind. They were just my friends from childhood and just did it, and, it came out amazing. So here, I just wanna play just a snippet so you guys can hear this.
People stand in the darkness, afraid to step into the light. Some people need to help somebody. The edge of surrender's inside. Don't you worry, it's gonna be alright. 'Cause I'm always ready, I won't let you out of my sight. Here we go.
Do you call her, just curious, do you call her Deborah or Debbie? When she first came out, it was Debbie, and then
Right.
it went to Deborah. But when you're talking to her, what do you call her?
Debbie, but a lot of times we say Deborah. It just, I don't know, kind of depends. And our like text threads and our email threads are pretty jovial, and there's a lot of wisecracks because if anybody knows Scott Grimes, there's not a serious bone in that guy's body, which I appreciate. So I think Deborah, but if I talk to her, it's Debbie because I just know her as Debbie.
Yeah.
So like, yeah,
I just curious. And
yeah,
for people who are around our age, obviously, I remember at the time, Debbie Gibson and Tiffany, were
yeah.
real big almost at the same time, and their music was all over the place. It's just, so you turn the radio on, boom, there it was all the time.
Yeah. And Debbie's really is doing the Electric Youth thing
Okay.
over. They're remaking it, and she's just, I don't know, she is so full of energy. I'm so envious of her energy, and she's just a true artist because that's just what she does. She is
Yeah.
always playing, always singing, always doing it because she loves it, and it's just so it's so neat to see with people like that. And you sit there and you watch them and you're like, shit, I don't have a fucking talented bone in my
Well, it's not
It
exactly
is
true.
so humbling. You
It's
just
not.
sit there and you're like, and what do I do? There's nothing I walk around doing all the time because I'm super talented at it. Nope. There's nothing I can just turn on and people will go, wow. There's nothing. I have nothing. I got nothing
That's
for
not.
you.
Well, not true. Put it this way: I always say this to my wife when we're sitting there watching TV, and you see all of a sudden one of these actors that can sing, or play the piano, or play a guitar, and you have to think that at some point when they were kids, they knew how to dance, play an instrument, sing, whatever. You can act. Everyone else who's watching, you can't even do that. You understand. You have that skill down. You understand that game, but 99.9% of the people out there can't do any of those things that you just
Okay, but
mentioned.
it doesn't really come in handy unless somebody gives you a job. I can't walk around and like just do a monologue. Like I'm not gonna walk around and like, just start acting. They can like walk
No,
around and
that's true.
sing. They can walk around and just sing, and you're just like, whoa, like wow. And no, nothing. I got nothing. They're
See, the
amazing.
deal is you're in the rooms with people who can do all those things. We're in rooms with people that can't ever do any of those things. That's the difference. All of a sudden the person next to you can tap dance. And if that's a thing, remember when we were younger, tap dancing was a
It is
thing.
a thing.
I don't know if anybody tap dances anymore,
It
but
100% is a thing.
that used to be a thing.
I think it still
That
is a thing.
that is cool. When I was in Nashville, every time I turned the TV on, I don't know what channel my son had in his house, but literally Baywatch just ran on a loop. It was on all
Oh,
the
is that
time.
right?
Yeah,
That's funny because I just got a stack of residual checks, so I figured it was playing somewhere.
You- all right, so here's the funny thing. Like I'll watch shows like SWAT, on CBS, and I'm like, I don't think this is in the job description when I watch the show. Like, what's to do with all this detective work they do on SWAT? And then I'm watching Baywatch, and I'm going, I don't know if this is in their jurisdiction to be doing this. Like, I thought we kind of stuck to the water. It seems like David Hasselhoff's doing a lot of detective work, and so, but I'm sitting there watching, and man, I heard that song a million times. It seemed like in the last week, Baywatch is running on a loop every time I flip the TV on.
That's really funny. Well, that explains my mailbox money.
There you go. That's pretty funny. That's cool. No, I love the idea that you pushed for the song. I think it was smart. That was a smart move, even though
Oh
your
yeah, I
business
think it's
partner
just
said, "What are
so
we doing?"
flipping important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it just came through like so much better than you could like. I don't know. Everybody's so excited. Everybody's so excited over it, and it's just yeah, they hit it right out of the ballpark. Like no problem. Just
No
sing
problem.
the song like birds. Yeah.
I
So
I, I do have an acting question for you. Because when I was on the airplane, coming back from Tennessee, um, one of the options I had was to watch the TV show Suits. And I've never seen it before. Everyone's saying that, they like the show Suits. I don't know if you watch the show at all, Nicole.
I
Okay.
haven't.
So I'll just say it from my point of view as someone who watches a lot of TV and watches a lot of movies and have my favorites. I'm not a fan of the acting in this show, and I was kind of curious. As someone who's an actor, goes, is the acting bad in this show, or am I just being too critical because I was uncomfortable on a plane? And then the other part is I've never seen a show. People are going to get upset that I'm complaining about the show Suits. If you love that show, pay attention to this. Anytime somebody walks into a room, every single scene, they have to say their name every time. It's
Oh,
like, like it could be if I worked with you and I saw you 20 times a day, every time I saw you, I said Nicole. And then every time you had to respond to me, you would say Dave. It's not the way people talk. And
is it because the two guys look so similar?
no, the girls do. Everybody does it. When they talk about
Oh,
people aren't even in the room. It's always, hey, we got a problem. We're going to talk about Harvey. Well, I want to talk about Lewis. And then you walk in, hey, Cindy. And then it's just, what are we doing with the names? It throws me off. Like, people don't talk like this. It is the
that's really
strangest
funny.
show to me. And I know it's extremely popular, but I was losing my mind going, no one speaks like this. Really
You
weird.
know, I have to give it a second shot because I started it and like
Yeah.
5 minutes in, I was like, "Meow." And
Yeah.
I changed it. And I do that sometimes. If I'm not like immediately grabbed,
Yeah.
I just get bored so quick. I'm one of
I
those
do too.
ADD.
I do too. I'm kind of
But
glad
I
you
know
said that
people love
because
it.
I'm like, am I the only one that doesn't like this show? Yeah.
That's how I feel. I feel like that about a lot of things. But yeah. So that's one. I know I want to give it a second shot because there's a commercial out with those two guys right now too, right? There's like I'm not sure what commercial, but and I'm just sitting there and I felt like an idiot because I was like, is that the guys from Suits? And like the fact that I didn't even know, but I was
Yeah.
going, well, they kind of look alike, so I think it's them. Like I feel ignorant. So yeah, I definitely want to give it another shot. So
Katherine Heigl's the only one that I know. No, like I didn't know anybody, you know. But again, I just gave it a chance. It just was very strange to me the way it was acted, the way it was written, and who knows, we might get people writing upset that I criticized the show. But at the same time, it's not what I expected. It's not as much as people talk it up. Not what I expected. You
you're
know.
allowed to have your opinion, Dave.
There you
You are
go.
definitely
I'm
entitled to
wrong.
that.
I'm wrong
You
about a
know,
lot of things, but there you go.
well, you don't have it doesn't mean you're wrong. So last week, one of the questions about was, do you remember your dreams? I think it was
Was
last week or it was the weekend
yeah, it
before.
was.
I gotta tell you. Okay, so last night, first of all, I need a new mattress. I how do you go about buying a new mattress when everything's online these days? Because I'm particular and I don't happen to have a great back. I had
Yeah.
broke 3 vertebrae in my past, so my back is like weird. And I have a really soft, cushy one. So it's time for a new one. And I don't know if I need a firm one or this and that, but all the places around here that were like showrooms for
Yeah.
mattresses, they're gone.
Oh wow.
And the ones that are, like, in the department stores and stuff like that, those aren't the ones you buy online. So I'm
Mm.
just so confused. I don't know how you do it. Like, like, you buy this mattress, it comes in a box, and, like, what if you hate it? And then they say, like, some of them have a guarantee. Well, how do you return that?
How do you
I
ship
don't
it
know.
back? Good luck getting in the box.
Yeah, it's never going back in that box. Oh my god, so I would love to hear people's thoughts on that because, I'm in desperate need. But anyways, I
Yeah.
had really
Somebody
wild
help
dreams.
people out on this one. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
you're absolutely right because you used to be able to go into showrooms. You could walk around. They encourage you to lay down on as many of them as you can.
yeah,
But if you can't find a showroom, it is literally one of the most important things for you to buy. And of
it
course, it can
really
last
is.
25 years. But yeah, if somebody has an answer, please write in. Help Nicole out on this one. No, I'm with you. You have to have the right mattress. I always say, by the way, in my mind, the way my head works, the three worst places to work have to be convalescent home has to be awful, right? It's depressing, doesn't smell great. The guy that cleans out the porta potties or has to transport them to different job sites, that's a terrible job. And working in a mattress store, not because the people are bad or the mattresses are bad, but if you're tired, like it's right in front of your face. It's like being like just loving chocolate and going, what am I going to do? I would kill to lay on one of these beds right
Stay
now.
up.
I'm just so tired. I just want to lay on a bed,
That's
but
really
you can't.
funny.
It's right
Yeah.
there. I just want to close my eyes for 15 minutes, please.
That
It's too
is
tempting.
hysterical. That's hysterical. Well, anyways, in my dream last night, I got to see a spaceship like show. All these different spaceships came down and like showed off what they can do. So when
Really?
you want to talk about me and my dreams, oh man, not only do I remember it, they are so flipping fun. And in my dream, because I'd moved to a new house that looked like more like a hotel. And the problem with this hotel is that every room came with a kid and a couple dogs. It came with a kid and a couple dogs. And the kids I was fine with. I was like, the dogs got to get out of here. We can't have this many dogs. And then the one room that was like mine came with 2 white tigers who were so amazing because all you had to do was open the door from the balcony and they jumped off the balcony and then they could jump back up to go when they had to do their business. These are my dreams, okay, folks?
Wow.
But when I went outside, there was a spaceship alien light show and it was fantastic. It was out of this world. So, yes, I remember my dreams.
That is cool. I
I
never
know.
do. It's very frustrating.
I can't.
Yeah.
You know what?
Can you
And do you know what?
direct your dreams? Like, can you move? Can you tell at any point while you're dreaming to go, I know I'm dreaming, but I'm going to go this direction or go that direction?
Well, when I have to go to the bathroom, that's a big
Oh,
one.
yeah,
I
yeah.
definitely
That is a
will.
big one.
Or if it's going in a bad direction, like if it's getting scary, then I will. I'll wake myself up. But also, what I'll do sometimes if I start to like sort of wake up, but I'm liking my dream, I'll just try to go back into it and I'll just
Yeah.
try to direct it back into the dream. So, it's like, I don't know. There's probably something to be said about my mental health with this.
No, I'm jealous of
This
that.
is,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, it's really funny. So, another thing is, people, your eyebrows and your eyelashes, man, do they serve a purpose. They really serve a purpose. I can't tell you how annoying it is to take a shower these days. That water just runs straight through my eyeballs. I have to turn the water off to shave my legs. Because I do a little foot scrub and I shave my
Yeah.
legs and everything in the shower. I have to turn the water off. I can't see shit. That water just it runs straight.
You never think about it, huh? You never thought about it
No.
before.
No, and you know what? I had thought about it like for a fleeting moment in the past, but you really take it for like you really take it for granted. Like
Yeah.
they really do their job.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild how well they do their job. So now I'm all paranoid if they don't grow back, is my shower going to be like this forever? And what's swimming like? Oh,
Oh, that's right.
yes. Which brings me to a product.
Okay, good.
So I obviously have to draw my eyebrows on every day. And
Yeah.
there's so many products out there that work and that are great. And I have to give it to Elf one more time. I've got to give it to you. The color is their color selection is really great. Like I found my match. I think if you can see them on me, it looks good.
Yeah.
It lasts, it stays. It's a little thick. It's a little thick of a pencil. Some women like a thinner pencil. Like my daughter, she likes a really thin one, but hers costs $30. And I'm like, I bought it for her at Christmas time when they were having a sale, so I got it for half off. That seemed more, feasible. But these pencils are really expensive. If you do need a thinner one, Sephora brand definitely. I feel like they do the thinner one. But for me, thick is fine because I'm doing the whole brow. And I don't know. I love it. But guess how much it costs?
Well, I'm going less than 30 for sure. I don't know.
Less than
What is
30.
it?
Let's go.
Is it?
It's $3.
No way.
You can get 2 for $5.
Wow.
I mean, come on.
How hard? Okay, let me ask you, how hard is it to do it? To draw? I mean, seriously, I've never done anything like that, but I would think if you're right-handed, one side would be easier than the other side,
Well, you do
right?
them
I
both
mean,
with your right hand.
I know, but I mean, still, it's a different. It's one's pulling, what's like one's pushing.
Well, it's true. And then the other thing about that is like your eyebrows are not twins. They're sisters or they're cousins. You know what I mean? They're not identical twins. Some people will draw them to be like identical. I kind of go with the natural what they naturally look like. Side note, I had my eyebrows tattooed
Yeah.
a number of years ago, so I've got a little bit of a stencil
Yeah,
to work
exactly.
with. Huh?
No, exactly. It makes it
Yeah,
to
I've
me,
got
it
a
make
little
it
bit of a
easier.
stencil,
Yeah.
but I do still have some eyebrows. It's just like it's just not that
Yeah.
many. So and I know my eyebrows so well. You just when you've been like I've always had to fill them in. I've always done something to them, and anybody who does do their eyebrows, you know what I'm talking about. You kind of know the way the shape is going to go and how to do it. So it's not hard for
Yeah.
me. But I do think it's easier for somebody to do one. Like they have these ones that are like it comes with like 3 and 4 prongs, so it draws like hairs. Okay, I'm a disaster at that. That I can't do. But just
I'd
the
look like
pencil to huh?
I'd look like Eugene Levy if that was
Yeah,
me. I'd I'd turn on the thing one day to go, Dave, what the hell? What are you doing?
yeah. No, I look like Eugene Levy's melting is what I would look like. So, but anyways, Elf, you cannot go wrong with this. You cannot go wrong with that.
Good
$3.
deal.
Yeah. Yay,
Good
Elf.
deal. So
Wait, so
we had go ahead. Go ahead. Finish
no,
what you're
you
saying.
go. You go.
No, no, I was gonna move on to that a lot of people have written to you this week, actually.
oh, they have?
And so I just was gonna fire through 6 things through the mailbag. That was it, just because
Let's do
we
it.
have people that have just filled up this mailbox, and so I just was gonna fire through it. But that was it. If you had something else to say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
let's go. I love the mailbag. Let's do it.
Okay, so again, Perfectly Twisted mailbag. It's easy. All you have to do is go to perfectlytwistedpod.com, look for the mailbag, and then just click on it, and we'll get you right in the rotation as far as Nicole's questions. I don't throw them out. I just try and line them up in the order that they come in. So, but we do appreciate everybody that wants to ask Nicole a question. This one's from Sonia Kraft. Okay, she says, Nicole, I love listening to your podcast. You two are both genuine and have a great sense of humor. I'm so sorry to hear about your diagnosis, Nicole. Thank you for sharing your story. It keeps me going. I'm also dealing with breast cancer.
Oh,
I'm going through the holistic route, and it can be very lonely. So thank you. Here's my question: have you been ghosted by friends after your diagnosis? If so, how do you handle that?
yes, Sonia. You really find out who your friends are. And here's the thing. I don't know how old you are, Sonia, but I'm 52 years old. And so anybody in my life, even if they're uncomfortable with the situation, they should be able to put their big grown-up pants on and deal with it. And I'm not saying that they have to be there for me all the time, but a message would be nice, just a message or something. It's kind of alarming how the ghosting. It's really alarming. And I have a friend who unfortunately she passed. But excuse me, gets me choked up. And she was my go-to in this. So it's hard to go through this and then you lose the person that's like there for you. She warned me about it and she told me like people can be really awful. And I thought, oh, but people don't know how to deal with it, right? Like people don't know what to say. They get uncomfortable. No, no, she's right. And Sonia, if you're feeling it, I really apologize to you that you're going through it. It's humiliating when someone does that to you. And I'm talking about people in person too. People will walk right past me and not look at me.
Wow.
People I've known for, at
Wow.
least since my child's been in school with them. She's going in 8th grade this year, guys. Nope, won't look at me, have never reached out, have never said anything to me. Don't ever, and they know my situation. They know that Keegan and I are alone. And it just kind of baffles my mind. All it takes is one quick message, right? To say, hey,
Yeah.
thinking about you, or hey, sorry that you're going through this. You don't have to do anything for me. You don't have to come help me. You don't have to you don't have to do anything. But it's like if you say happy birthday to somebody, it's as easy as that. You just say. So Sonia, I don't know about you, but there's a lot of people that don't get my time when this is all said and done, or
Good for
even
you.
now going forward. You're just not gonna get my time. I'm not angry. I do look at you a little judgy. I'm not gonna lie, but that's a you problem, not a me problem. And yeah, I just don't ask me for anything ever. And yep, you're not my friend.
I've heard this before, and as I mentioned to you before, I have other friends who are fighting some sort of cancer, and they're going through it too. Exactly what you said, what Sonia said, and in my head, it kind of surprised me. It seemed like it would be your human nature be just the opposite. That's when you reach out to people more. The fact to your face that they basically act like
Mhm.
you don't
Walk
exist
right
is
by me.
insane to me. I was
Mhm.
before you said that, I was thinking, I think people just don't know what to say, and that's why you probably get less. But now that you said they walk right past you, it's just straight out cruel. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like you can catch cancer. I mean, I remember in the early 80s when we were just finding about like AIDS, and people didn't understand how you received AIDS. And people, it's embarrassing now when you look back at the way people's behavior. But cancer is one of those where everybody should know someone that has fought this horrible fight. Yeah, I'm sorry you
Yeah.
got both of you are going through that.
It's funny that you say that about the contagious, because I hear that a lot, with cancer patients. They say, "Hey, I'm not contagious," and that's interesting because maybe people think of it like that, like ick, like they get the ick from you. But whatever, that's fine. I see you.
Yeah, good for you, Nicole. Sonia, that was Sonia's only question. That and very appreciate the compliments as well about the show, Sonia. But we wish you all the best.
Yes,
Absolutely.
good, and let us know what you're doing and how you're doing and how it's going, because I would love to hear, which holistic treatments you're doing, and I would love to hear about it. So please stay in touch with that.
This next question's from Carew, and I don't know if it's a he or she, but it says, "Have you ever used a body double?"
Yes,
You
um,
have.
yes, for sure.
Okay.
Um, we talked about this recently when Roger Corman passed. Um, I did a movie called The Haunting of Morella, and I was young, and I was too young to be doing nudity, and there was a nude, like, bathtub scene, and I went to him and said, I can't. I don't wanna do it," and he was like, "No problem whatsoever," and brought in a body double, and she did it, and it was great, and all was happy on the set. There's nothing wrong with it, and it wasn't because, like, I wanted a better body or anything like that. It just I wasn't comfortable doing it, and so he brought somebody in, and she was fine, and it was great.
All right, here's a question I would ask. Did you have any choice on who your body double was?
Not on that film, no, and I don't think I even asked to have, like, a say in it or anything
Yeah.
like that. That was a little bit like, I just left that to them. I'm sure there are people who use a body double and they do, get some sort of approval rights, but, no, for me, it was
Yeah.
like, whoever they hire, great, fantastic, and she was a very nice lady, and it worked out great.
There you go. Next question. Three things you must have on your bedside table.
Um, okay, I have my water bottle.
Yeah.
And I have my chapstick, my Bees Burt's, chapstick, without a doubt, and then, like, my chargers. I have, like, a charger
Yeah.
station
Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
lamp. But,
And a
what's not so
box of
boring that I have
Kleenex?
is
Nothing?
I Huh?
Box of Kleenex, like I was
No.
I always have one nearby
You oh,
just in
I
case.
know.
I have allergies like you wouldn't believe, so I'm like, if I have a sneezing attack, I have to have a box of Kleenex.
No, but I also have my daily affirmation book so that when I sit up
Okay.
and I wake up in the morning, and it has my
Yeah.
reading glasses on top of it. It's my affirmation book, and I read the page out of it before I get out of bed. But the chapstick and the water have to be there. All
Yep.
of that. Yep. That's my go-to.
Okay. You know what I just bought? This is so stupid. I hate when I start talking and then I'm like, I shouldn't have said a damn thing. But now I have to finish. I bought this thing at the gas station where I was getting my car washed, and it's a stick with a little hand on it, and it pulls out, and you just scratch your back.
Oh,
So it's like, it's like right next to the bed. I'll just lean over, just scratch my back before I go to sleep, and then helps me fall asleep. That's
okay.
it.
So under my bedside table,
Yeah.
I've got a back scratcher, but mine's wooden and it's bamboo because
Yeah.
I like the scratchiness of the wood, the bamboo.
Yeah.
And I have one that's like this big hook thing with like a knob thing at the end, and it gets into
It gets it.
your back muscles. I have
Yeah.
both of those right next to my slippers under my bedside
I
table. So,
recommend it. I
yep,
recommend it. I'm
it's a
telling you.
thing.
All right.
Yep.
Third question, Nicole, what's your favorite song ever? Do you have a favorite song?
No. Um, no, this is not a fair question. I don't have favorites. I don't have favorites of anything. It depends on my mood. It depends on the day. My playlist is all over the place. Um, right now, like last night, I was listening to Tennessee Whiskey. Right,
Great song. Great
I
song.
love that song. That was my
Was it the
mood
one with
last night.
Was it
Huh?
the one with Chris Stapleton, or was it with Chris Stapleton and Justin Timberlake? Because they
No, it
do a
was
great
just the
version.
Chris. Oh, it was
Chris
just Chris
Stapleton.
Stapleton. Oh, now I need to go hear the one with Justin
You,
Timberlake.
you got to YouTube that one. That one's a great one.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll check that one out. Like, that was my mood last night, then, then it's gonna be NWA or Beastie
Yeah.
Boys, and then it's gonna be Sade. Like,
Yeah.
it all depends on the day.
There you go. There you go. Nicole, how do you feel about the possibility of putting warning labels on apps like TikTok?
You mean the ones the kids are gonna scroll right past?
Exactly right. Right? Who are we kidding?
It's like
I would have
disclaimers or
done the
like
same
a
thing.
agreement, the agreements that, "Yeah, sure, I
Yeah.
agree," click.
Okay.
Uh
Yeah. Come on.
Here's my theory on at the end of the day, like, we're so far past having any control over what they watch us do on the internet and through our devices. We're past it. It's done, guys. It's
Exactly.
done. It's a thing. Just don't do anything you're ashamed of. Don't do anything crazy, and who cares? And quite honestly, um, I kinda like it sometimes when an ad comes up where it's something I'm looking for, like, I'm talking about something, and then all of a sudden ads for that product come up. I'm a little bit happy about it because, it's like, so that algorithm thing, I mean, it's kind of tailored to make your experience better. I don't spend my life on online, so, I'm not too worried about it, but, you know, it's up to the parents to keep the kids off. It's just that's and, it's funny, I was reading somebody, who posted something about how to keep their teen off the, offline, off their device and, like, get outside and play, and I'm thinking to myself, "You were supposed to teach them this from the beginning of time." Like, so my kid is she has trouble, it's no joke, she has trouble finding her people at her age because she doesn't wanna just look up boys and be all about boys online and texting boys back and forth. She doesn't just wanna be on her device. She wants to go out and go bike riding. She wants to go skateboarding. She wants to go to the pool. She wants to go to the beach. And all of her friends are like, not so much. And she
Yeah.
gets really frustrated and it's really hard for her. And I'm like, and I say to her, they're not like us, you know, to quote Kendrick Lamar, they're not like us.
That's a good job. You did good right there.
They're
Yeah.
they're just not. People are different. They don't, like for us, it's fun to go outside, go on a bike ride, go on a walk. People don't. That's not what they do. And you
No.
can't change your teenager's direction at this point. You were supposed to teach them to appreciate those things as they were growing up. If you didn't take them out and do fun things with them, how do you expect them to suddenly like go, the better choice is to go outside? Like they're just not gonna do it. They don't have it in them. So people teach them from when they're young, show them how to enjoy nature and real life.
My best memories are all from, going outside and doing things, whether ended up good or bad, whether somebody got hurt or somebody, as I said, riding bikes, throwing a football, whatever it was, all our best memories. My son Josh, always uses the line, "Nobody remembers the day you stayed home." Like it was,
Right.
you got to get out of the house.
That's
You
right.
got to get out, and especially for kids, I think it's a huge part of your childhood is leaving the house and seeing things for the first time, experiencing things for the first time.
100%, and people wanna blame the kids, that the kids are on their devices. Nope. Nope, sorry, I'm gonna blame
Yeah,
the parents, because if you
exactly.
didn't show them how fun it is and the benefits of putting that device down and going out and doing things and adventures during the day, then I don't know what you expect out of these kids. So,
You're
you're
absolutely right.
raising them that way.
All right, here's the last question. Nicole, if you could sit down and chat with anyone, living or dead, who would it be, and what would you ask them?
Oh, that's a big one. Well, if it was to be somebody famous, I'd really love to hear from Marilyn Monroe, and that maybe sounds so cliche, but she was such a powerful force as a woman in those days when that wasn't really a thing. I would love to hear all the inside scoop of her life, and
Me too.
you know, like I
Me
want to
too.
hear who held her up, who pushed her down, all of that. I would love to hear. Um, and then if not, I guess it would be my parents, one of my parents, because so many unanswered questions of things of the past or things within our family or just, because I didn't have grandparents. I didn't grow up knowing grandparents. My parents were older when they had me. And the only set of grandparents I did have were in Europe. And I only got to see them once or twice before they passed. And it's just, so I have so many questions, which I
Yeah, of
didn't have when I was younger, when they were alive, right? Like I
course.
didn't have all these questions. So it's funny because like my girls, um, they both have dimples. So it has to come from my side of the family somewhere. I would love to know something as silly as that. Um, and interesting enough, they both had, what they called a tied tongue. And so, like, my oldest had to have a procedure to get it untied. Where does that come from? Because it
Yeah.
obviously comes from my side because they both have it. Just all these things, and those are just like little details. But these questions come up as you live your life, right? You're
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, where is this? This is obviously from me. This is my genetics. What is this? What is this? So, I guess my parents. I have a lot of questions for them.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have questions about family too. It's funny when you're young, you don't want to be bothered,
Yeah.
right? But when you get older, you absolutely have those. The Marilyn Monroe one, I think, is interesting because I've never heard anyone give that answer. Yet, I think that is fascinating. Like, there's no way Marilyn Monroe could have thought that she was going to leave the legacy she left. There are a lot of beautiful women, around her time, and there are about 4 or 5 of them where people would say they were in that category, but
Yes.
still she's not only the go-to, but also there's so many questions, like, nowadays in 2024, what people do with their bodies on, getting it out there publicly, but also, sleeping around. I mean, that was something that was not talked about, frowned upon probably back then, compared to today, about, women taking control of their bodies and making their decisions. And Marilyn Monroe really set a standard that was almost 50, 60 years ahead of her time.
She had the balls. She had the balls to do
Yeah.
it, and, I feel like she lived unapologetically, and, that had to be hard, that had to
Yeah.
be hard during those times, and, so yeah, I love her, and then there's sort of these 2, there's the Billie J what why am I blanking on her name? There's, like, the country version of her where she came from, and then she transformed into Marilyn,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, exactly.
Right? So
Exactly.
there's
Yeah.
like, what made her do that? How did that come about? And, like, it must have been her self-expression, and kudos to her because she was a trailblazer for us
Yeah.
ladies.
Norma Jean is what you're gonna
Norma
say.
Jean, thank you, God.
Okay.
Norma
For a
Jean,
second, you threw
yeah.
me off. I thought you were going over to Billie Jean King. I was like, "Where are we going?" So,
I
okay,
don't know where
Norma
I
Jean
went
is
with
what
that.
you meant.
Norma
It's all right.
Jean, yeah.
You got it. Yeah.
Well, Billie Jean King, another trailblazer.
She
But
was.
yeah, Norma Jean, yeah, in her transformation. I mean, I have a table book right here on my table of her. So, yeah, she was on it. Yeah, she
Absolutely.
was. Yeah.
Absolutely. Again, if you want to ask Nicole a question, please go to the website and perfectlytwistedpod.com. Look for the mailbag and let's get the questions in. Also, we always forget to say this as well. If you haven't subscribed to the show, please subscribe and please give a thumbs up. We could use
Yes.
a thumbs up on every one of those episodes, and all of that helps us out tremendously. But great questions. Again, thank you, Karu and Sonia, for today's questions.
Yes, thank you. Love them. Keep them coming, and enjoy your week, and we will see you next week.